In January 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out on an expedition through the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. They were skilled, well-prepared, and had completed difficult expeditions before. None of them ever came back. When rescue teams finally located the group, what they found made no sense at all. The tent had been torn open from the inside. The hikers had fled into the frozen night wearing almost nothing. Temperatures outside were well below -30 degrees Celsius. Some were found without shoes, some without coats, some without any explanation. The Soviet government reviewed the evidence, closed the file, and issued a single statement. The cause of death was listed as an unknown and overwhelming force. Every detail in this documentary is sourced from declassified Soviet investigation files and verified historical records. This is the full story of the Dyatlov Pass incident. The expedition was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Dyatlov was experienced, respected, and known for his careful planning. The group consisted of 9 people in total, 8 men and 1 woman. All of them were experienced hikers and skiers who had completed multiple winter expeditions. Their destination was Otorten Mountain, a challenging but achievable summit in the northern Ural range. According to records, the group set out from the city of Sverdlovsk in late January 1959. They traveled by train, then by truck, before beginning their trek on foot through the snow. On February 1st, the group made camp on the slopes of a mountain they called Height 1079. According to their diaries and photographs recovered later, morale was high. They had food, equipment, and the experience needed to handle difficult conditions. That evening, they set up their tent on the open slope of the mountain. It was the last night any of them would spend alive. What happened during the night of February 1 Street, 1959 has never been fully explained. At some point during the night, something caused all 9 hikers to flee their tent in extreme panic. According to forensic analysis conducted during the Soviet investigation, the tent was cut open from the inside. This indicated that whoever made the cuts was inside the tent and trying to get out, not in. The hikers left behind their shoes, their coats, their food, and their supplies. They ran out into the night at -30 degrees with almost nothing to protect them. Investigators later noted that no experienced hiker would ever abandon shelter voluntarily in those conditions. Whatever they encountered that night was powerful enough to override every survival instinct they had. According to the evidence, the group initially moved together toward the tree line approximately 1 kilometer away. At the tree line, they attempted to start a fire using branches from a nearby pine tree. Evidence suggested that 2 members of the group climbed the tree, possibly to look for something. From that point, the group appeared to have separated. When the group failed to return on schedule, a search operation was launched in mid-February 1959. On February 26, search teams located the abandoned tent on the slope of Height 1079. According to investigators, the scene was deeply unusual. The tent was partially buried in snow but structurally intact, except for the cuts made from the inside. A trail of footprints led away from the tent toward the tree line. Investigators followed the footprints and soon made their first discovery. 2 members of the group, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko, were found near the remains of a fire. They were wearing only their underwear. According to the forensic report, both had died from hypothermia. Nearby, investigators found the body of Igor Dyatlov himself, lying in the snow facing back toward the tent. A short distance away, they found Zinaida Kalmogorova in a similar position. The 5th body, Rustam Slobodin, was found between the tent and the tree line. According to the medical examination, Slobodin had a small fracture in his skull, but this alone was not considered fatal. All 5 of these victims had died from hypothermia. The remaining 4 members of the group were not found until May 1959, when the snow began to melt. The final 4 bodies were discovered in a ravine, approximately 75 meters from the tree line. What investigators found in that ravine was unlike anything else in the case. According to the forensic report, 3 of the 4 remaining victims had suffered massive internal injuries. Nicholas Thibault-Brignolles had a severe skull fracture. Lyudmila Dubinina and Alexander Zolotaryov had multiple broken ribs on both sides of their bodies. According to forensic experts, the force required to cause those injuries was comparable to a major car accident. Critically, there were no external wounds on the bodies, no cuts, no bruises on the skin. This meant the force had come from within or from something that left no visible trace on the outside. The case of Lyudmila Dubinina added another deeply disturbing detail. According to the autopsy report, her tongue, eyes, and part of her facial tissue were missing. Investigators were unable to determine how or why this had occurred. Additionally, testing conducted on the clothing of several victims revealed the presence of radiation. The levels were not immediately dangerous, but their presence in that location was never explained. According to the official Soviet investigation, all 9 deaths were ruled as the result of an unknown compelling force. The case was classified, the files were sealed, and the public was given no further information. In the decades that followed, numerous theories emerged attempting to explain what happened at Dyatlov Pass. The most widely discussed theory involves a natural phenomenon known as an infrasound event. According to this theory, specific wind conditions in mountain terrain can produce low-frequency sound waves. These waves are inaudible to the human ear, but can cause extreme psychological distress, including panic. Supporters of this theory argue it could explain why the group fled in such sudden and irrational terror. A second theory involves a military presence in the area at the time of the incident. According to declassified documents, Soviet military exercises were conducted in the Ural region during that period. Some researchers have suggested the group may have witnessed something they were not supposed to see. A third theory proposes that an avalanche or the fear of one caused the group to flee the tent. However, investigators noted that the slope where the tent was located was not considered avalanche-prone. Additionally, the pattern of injuries did not match what would be expected from an avalanche. In 2019, the Russian government reopened the investigation and concluded that a snow slab avalanche was the most likely cause. However, many independent researchers and the families of the victims have disputed this conclusion. To this day, no theory has been universally accepted. The full truth of what happened on the night of February 1, 1959 remains unknown. Igor Dyatlov was 23 years old. Zinaida Kolmogorova was 22. Lyudmila Dubinina was 20. Each of the 9 people on that expedition had a life, a future, and a family waiting for them. Their names deserve to be remembered not just as victims of an unsolved mystery, but as people. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most thoroughly investigated and least understood events in modern history. Decades of research, declassified documents, and independent investigations have failed to produce a definitive answer. Whatever happened on that frozen mountain in 1959 took 9 lives and left no clear explanation behind. The pass where they died was later officially named Dyatlov Pass in honor of the expedition leader. It remains a remote and rarely visited location in the northern Ural Mountains. Thank you for watching Darkfulous Cases. If you found this documentary informative, please consider subscribing. New cases are uploaded every week. In the comments below, what do you think happened at Dyatlov Pass? The Dyatlov Pass incident has fascinated researchers, historians, and investigators for more than 6 decades. Few cases in modern history have generated as many questions with so few definitive answers. The combination of physical evidence, extreme conditions, and official secrecy created a mystery that has never been resolved. One of the most puzzling aspects of the case is the behavior of the group in their final hours. Experienced hikers do not abandon shelter in -30-degree temperatures without an extraordinary reason. According to survival experts who have studied the case, the decision to flee the tent was almost certainly driven by immediate fear. Something caused 9 skilled and experienced people to choose the frozen darkness over the relative safety of their tent. What that something was has never been conclusively identified. The radiation found on the clothing of several victims added another layer of mystery to an already baffling case. According to nuclear experts consulted during later reviews of the case, The levels detected were low but unexplained. No natural source of radiation in that region has ever been identified. The internal injuries found on 3 of the victims also remain deeply difficult to explain. Forensic experts have noted that the pattern of injuries, severe internal damage with no external wounds, is exceptionally rare. In most cases of physical trauma, the external body shows clear signs of the force that caused the internal damage. In the Dyatlov case, there were none. This detail alone has led some researchers to propose that an unknown pressure wave or atmospheric event may have been responsible. Others have suggested that the victims may have fallen into the ravine from a significant height. According to this theory, the fall itself could account for the pattern of injuries observed. However, no evidence of a fall from height was noted in the original investigation reports. The families of the 9 victims spent decades fighting for access to the classified investigation files. According to family representatives, many documents were withheld from public view for years without explanation. When portions of the files were eventually declassified, they raised as many questions as they answered. Several pages were noted as missing from the official record. According to archivists who reviewed the declassified materials, the gaps in the documentation were significant. In 2019, Russian prosecutors officially reopened the case for the 3rd time. After a review lasting several months, they concluded that a snow slab avalanche was the most probable explanation. According to their findings, a small avalanche may have struck the tent, causing the group to flee in panic. The internal injuries, they suggested, could have been caused by the weight of the snow. Many researchers and family members rejected this conclusion. They pointed out that the original investigators had considered and dismissed the avalanche theory decades earlier. They also noted that the tent showed no signs of having been struck by snow from outside. As of the time of this documentary, no explanation has been formally accepted by all parties involved. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains officially unsolved. 9 people went into those mountains in January 1959 and never came home. Their families, their friends, and researchers around the world are still waiting for the truth.